The report had her signature. The problem was, she never signed it. The folder scraped across the table and stopped at her elbow. No preamble, just the page, her name, the forgery. She took the page. Same line, same initials, almost. The head nurse stood by the coffee machine, polishing a cup that was already dry. The young doctor leaned back, pen clicking against the folder. "You understand how serious this is," the chief said. His voice carried that calm tone people use when the decision's already made. She nodded once, not because she agreed, but because she was too tired to argue in front of them. The fluorescent lights hummed. She could hear the air conditioner click between cycles. Her throat felt dry. The doctor spoke next. "It happens. People get tired, they click the wrong box. No one's blaming you." He smiled, the kind of smile that asks you to stay small. The folder closed with a soft thud, a career shrinking. When the meeting ended, no one looked her in the eye. She walked down the hall, the sound of her shoes flat against the linoleum, same rhythm she'd walked for 20 years. In the locker room, she pulled off her badge and stared at her reflection. The fluorescent light flickered, blue-white, unflattering. She opened the report again. The signature wasn't hers, not really. The curve of the M was too sharp, the tail shorter. She noticed that kind of thing. She'd filled out thousands of forms. Someone had copied it. Badly. She folded the paper and slid it into her bag. For the first time, her hands weren't shaking. Outside, the parking lot was quiet. A single ambulance light flashed from a distance, turning everything red for a second, then gone. She sat in her car and stared at the dashboard clock. Maybe she should have said something. Maybe not here. Not to them. When she finally turned the key, the radio came alive halfway through a weather report. The voice said, "Unusual heat wave expected this week." It already felt like it had started. She came in early the next day, but her name was gone from the board. The whiteboard still listed shifts, just not hers. Someone had wiped her schedule clean, left a faint gray shadow where her marker used to be. The nurse's station smelled of coffee and disinfectant. Nobody said good morning. They didn't have to. Silence worked better than any memo. The young doctor passed her in the hallway, his badge swinging, phone in hand. "Morning," he said, already moving. She answered with a nod he didn't see. Her badge still beeped at the door. Not revoked yet. She logged into the system. New names, new dates. A small blue icon blinked in the corner, edit log active. Someone was changing medication entries in real time. She clicked it open, more out of habit than curiosity. The screen showed timestamps, initials, adjustments, dosage edits. Her initials showed up again, this time on a patient she hadn't seen in days. A sound came from behind her, the ping of another entry being saved. She turned. Just a resident nurse, typing quickly, not looking her way. The noise repeated, steady, mechanical. The air felt colder around her desk. She minimized the window and kept working like nothing had changed. But she saw it now. Every keystroke left a trace. Later, in the break room, two nurses sat near the vending machine whispering. One looked up, smiled too quickly, then stared at her cup again. She didn't bother to ask. At home, her husband was watching TV. "You can't fight them," he said. "Just let it go before it eats you alive." She took off her scrubs, folded them slowly. "You think I did it?" He muted the TV. "Does it matter?" She didn't answer. That night, she couldn't sleep. The house hummed. Refrigerator, ceiling fan, old pipes. Around 2 a.m., she opened her laptop, logged into the remote system, and watched the edit log again. New entries blinked one by one, like small blue confessions. Machines didn't lie. People did. The night shift felt longer than usual. The corridors buzzed with the low hum of machines, fluorescent lights carving pale lines across the floor. She liked nights, fewer eyes, fewer questions. At 1:12 in the morning, she slipped into the records room. The computer fan whirred like breathing. She plugged in a small flash drive, the kind she used for family photos. The screen flickered. The hospital logo dissolved into rows of numbers. Each file opened with a soft click. Dosages, notes, timestamps. She moved fast, precise. No panic, no waste. The mouse scrolled, the printer whispered. Paper slid out steady, warm to the touch. Her name kept appearing on lines she never touched. She paused, listening. Somewhere down the hallway, a mop bucket rolled, squeaking against tile. Her heartbeat matched the rhythm. She waited until the sound faded before printing again. The first folder filled the drive at 1:36. She labeled it shift_log_A, then started another. Somewhere in the system, an alert blinked red for a second. Access conflict detected. Her stomach tightened. She pulled the flash drive, waited, reinserted it. The alert vanished. She exhaled through her nose, slow. On the desk sat a half-empty coffee cup, someone else's. She threw it away. The smell was sour. She wiped the rim with a tissue, no fingerprints. She didn't know why she did that, but it felt necessary. At 2:03 a.m., she heard footsteps. Not rushed, steady, confident. She froze. The printer spat one last sheet before she could stop it. Too loud. The light under the door shifted as someone passed by, then stopped. Silence. She held her breath. The steps resumed, fading toward the elevators. When the hallway emptied, she gathered the papers and stacked them neatly, corners aligned. She checked the flash drive, complete. No errors. She powered down the computer and waited for the screen to go black. Only then did she let herself sit. Her hands were steady now. That surprised her. Fear had burned off, leaving something colder. She slid the drive into her pocket, zipped it shut, and whispered to no one, "That's enough." It wasn't, and she knew it. By morning, the story was already moving. A patient's lawyer had called the clinic. No one said her name yet, but she heard it anyway, in how people paused when she walked in. She wore her badge, same uniform, same calm. Inside, everything felt sharp. At noon, the chief called her to his office. The blinds were half closed, slicing sunlight into thin white lines across the desk. "We need to clarify a few things," he said. The doctor was already there, phone face down, jaw tight. He started first, too fast, too careful. Something about workflow confusion, misfiled documentation, system lag. Words meant to fog the air. She waited for silence. "The records are already with the patient's attorney." The doctor blinked. "You did what?" She didn't repeat it. The chief's face went pale, the kind of pale that comes from calculation, not fear. "You realize the damage you've caused?" She folded her hands. "I didn't cause it." The room went still. Even the clock seemed to hold its tick. When she left, people looked up from their screens. Nobody asked anything. One of the receptionists mouthed, "Is it true?" She didn't answer. Outside, the sky looked flat and too bright. Her phone buzzed once, a number she didn't know. She answered. "This is Health Department compliance," a man's voice said. "We received the data packet. It matches the complaint. You'll be contacted officially." She stopped. A bus roared past, wind pushing her hair across her face. For a second, she couldn't hear anything but the rush of air. Then came quiet, the kind that doesn't need permission. That evening she drove home with the windows down, the flash drive still in her bag. On the passenger seat, the printed pages lay bound with a paperclip, corner bent where her hand had pressed too hard. When she reached her street, she parked and sat in the car until the engine clicked cool. She thought about all the things she didn't say, all the time she stayed quiet. Now, silence was saying enough. The printer hummed again, steady this time. Different clinic, different morning. She stood by the counter, waiting for the paper to slide out. The walls were soft green, not white. Someone had taped up a drawing from a kid, crooked sun, wide smile. the kind of detail she never noticed before. The report printed clean. No duplicate signatures, no edits flashing in the corner. She signed it with her own pen, her own hand. The curve of her name looked right again. Across the room, a nurse joked about broken coffee filters. Someone laughed. The sound felt normal. She clipped the report to a file and set it in the tray. Small, ordinary, and heavy. Months ago, that same action nearly ended her career. Now it felt like claiming it back. Her phone buzzed. An email from the state board. Final note. Case resolved. No fault established. She read it twice, then archived it without saving a copy. Not everything needs proof anymore. At lunch, she stepped outside. The air smelled like asphalt warming in the sun. Delivery trucks backed up near the side entrance, the beeping rhythm mixing with birds overhead. Life didn't pause for anyone's justice. It just kept going. She walked to her car, but didn't unlock it yet. Through the glass doors, a younger nurse struggled with paperwork, the same confusion she once had. She almost walked back in to help. Almost. Then she stopped. People have to learn to look closer, at lines, at names, at who really signs what. Back in the driver's seat, she rested her hand on the steering wheel. The flash drive sat in the cup holder, scratched, empty now. She thought about throwing it away, then didn't. The printer hummed inside the building again, faint through the glass. Same sound, different life. She smiled once, not out of victory, just relief that it was finally quiet. Outside, sunlight flashed across the windshield, sharp and clean, like a new start catching its breath. And for the first time, she wondered, if silence can clear your name, what else can it hide?